Hello folks. Well, today we thought it's such a wonderful day that we better come out into the vineyard and tell you a little bit about our Amos Pinot Noir. We're at our Mount Barker site today. Now this is not where the fruit for our Amos Pinot comes from. It is from our Schoenthal Estate vineyard over between Lobethal and Charleston. Now if you spend some time up here in the cellar door doing any tastings with myself or any of my colleagues, you would know that we have two sites that we grow our fruit, estate grown. So all of our wines come from the fruit that we grow ourselves. We've got our Mount Barker site, which sits 380 to 400 metres above sea level. Nice wide open aspect, and it's where we grow most of our black fruit. So our Shiraz, our Cabernet Franc, our Cabernet Sauvignon, and a little bit of Sauvignon Blanc, exception of the rule. But our slightly larger site over between Lobethal and Charleston is called our Schoenthal Estate vineyard. Beautiful valley is what it's German for. Over there, Pinot Noir, our best Sauvignon Blanc, Pinot Gris, and all of our very best Chardonnay come from that site. A little bit higher in altitude. Okay, so what we're looking for from that side is a lovely, cool ripening period, a long ripening period, so we can retain the lovely bright acidity that we're after for our, especially for our Chardonnay and our Pinot. And for 2021, I should say, we were able to achieve that really well. So well that we're actually able to pick all of our 5 Pinot clones separately, which we've never been able to do before, and then blend those clones back together post-fermentation to achieve what you guys have hopefully got in your glass right now. All right, folks, finally time to talk wine. So, in front of you, you should have one of these, you should have one of these, and you should also have a corkscrew, okay? So, we've taken our Amos range back to cork in the last couple of vintages. It is literally just for a little bit of ceremony, because it is nice at the end of the day to pull a cork out of a wine bottle. We do our Amos range, we actually have 4 different varieties, okay? So we do a Chardonnay, we do a Pinot Noir, we do a Shiraz, and we do a Cabernet. Currently in the cellar door at the moment, we have our Amos Chardonnay available, along with our brand new Amos Pinot. So, all fruit from our Lobethal vineyard over at, we call it Schoenthal Estate, is the name of the vineyard, which we touched on earlier, and sits just under 500 metres above sea level. And what that allows us to do is get a lovely sort of cool, long ripening period for the fruit, okay? So there's 5 different clones here. This particular vintage, we were able to pick all of these clones separately, which is very important from a stylistic point of view, I guess. So we can make exactly the style of Pinot that we like, because all of those different clones yield slightly different flavour profiles, all right? As we dive into some of the winemaking here, about 25% of this wine sees some whole bunch fermentation. So what that means is we literally throw some of the whole bunches of grapes into the fermentation vessel. Now, that allows us to do a few things. It helps create a little bit of fruit lift. It also helps create a little bit of vibrancy, helps with some of the aromatics of the wine as well. So what you'll see is, if you've poured some of this into your glass already, is a really lovely fragrant floral lift to this wine. It's quite light in colour as well. So we've done that deliberately, and the way we sort of achieve that colour is what we do is we stop the ferment a little bit short. We do the initial ferment in the barrels, and then we transfer the wine to some steel tanks for that ferment to finish. So that allows us to take the wines off of the skins and just pare back some of that colour a little bit, and just once again, it's about retaining some of those aromatics and the prettiness. All right. Really lovely lifted cherry profile. There's some nice baking spice, 5 spices, cinnamon, nutmeg elements to this wine. But the really exciting thing for me about this, which is a little bit different to what we've seen in our Pinot Noir of the past, is the complexity and the little bit of development we're starting to get here. So there's a really lovely smokiness to this, a little bit of almost like a pancetta, charcuterie element, and that hint of meatiness as well. It's not a super weighty vegetal style of Pinot. It's got some lovely fruit lift and some fragrance to it, but that complexity of some of those slightly more savory characters has just changed the game for this wine. Okay, so what do we want to drink the wine with? Now, look, it's light enough, it's floral enough, it's fragrant enough to be just looked at on its own, but it does have the complexity and a little bit more development that will pair really nicely with some foods. Now, that smoky sort of meaty element's going to go great with things like your pork bellies, your duck breast, tea-smoked duck breast, coffee duck spring rolls, and pate is one of my very, very favorites. So that will work really, really nicely with this wine. But what there is a brilliant acidity. So the acid is going to help to cut through some of the fattiness in things like your triple cooked duck fat potatoes, things like that. Anytime you're doing a fry up at home, this is going to work great. It's going to have a great cut through. But play around with it, see what you think works for you. The body is quite light, so I wouldn't be heading down your big weighty red meats necessarily, but have a play. You never know. So guys, that is a wrap up of this wine. 21 Amos Pinot Noir. There's not much of it, so make sure you come and see us, get your hands on a bottle of it, call us up, jump on the internet, or come for a visit here in the cellar door. We would love to tell you a bit more about this wine. Thank you so much.